do these man-woman podcasts from time to time because, let's just be honest, progressives and the professor that didn't shave her armpits in college, they've done a number 2 in your mind in regards to men and women. And I'm just, what I'm doing? I'm just taking the Clorox and getting down on my hands and knees, and I'm just scrubbing all that away with some elbow grease. After this is done, it's going to be squeaky clean, brand new. Women. This is going to be to you, but specifically in this particular podcast, I'm talking to wives. I know you're struggling. I know all the crap you've heard isn't working. But I'm going to say something that seems really, really commonsensical at first, but surprisingly enough is not put into practice enough. And it might be a bit controversial if seen through the modern lens, but it isn't. It wasn't to many generations, to your grandmother's generation, to generations far beyond hers. This was a simple truth known. Do not wield your sexuality as a weapon in your marriage. And what that boils down to in brass tacks is sleep with your husband. Sleep with your husband regularly. It doesn't matter whether you feel like sleeping with your husband. It doesn't matter if you're in the mood to sleep with your husband. It should not matter if your husband does the right thing all the time. Sleep with your husband if you want to enjoy a good marriage. Now, I know, I hear the cacophony of voices coming back at me. Brock, how dare you say that? It's a two-way street. He doesn't give me foot rubs, he doesn't bring me flowers, he doesn't do the dishes, doesn't take out the trash. He's gained 50 pounds. I get that. And your claims are valid. I agree with you. He should be doing all these things. But does not nullify what I've just said. It is just as true with or without your gripes. Because men are very different than women. Our sexual appetite is ferocious. Not to say that you can't find your occasional nymphomaniac with estrogen. That's not what I'm saying. I'm sure they exist. Probably something wrong in that regard, but nonetheless, if you take the genders and you put them side by side, the men and Jabba the Hutt-like sexual appetite dwarfs, eclipses the female trickle in this regard. It's very, 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 very important that you sleep with your husband. That is the number one way that he is sort of aligning your affection towards him. That's sort of the litmus test that he's using, for good or for bad. It's just the way it is. Now, what you guys tend to do as wives is you tend to think, well, he's not doing what I'm wanting him to do. We're going to have a little give and take here. That's a terrible idea. You don't even know how vulnerable you're setting yourself up. That's like sending a ferocious lion into a room after not feeding him. Now, maybe that lion wasn't a good lion. Maybe he didn't do the little circus tricks that you wanted him to do, or whatever the case may be. You're still sending a ferocious lion out into the world who's starving to death. That's what you're doing with your husband when you do not sleep with him. Do not wield that as a weapon. That's destructive to your marriage, and in the end, only you will lose. And the irony, of course, being that if you do sleep with him, regardless of your fickle emotions and regardless of your laundry list of valid reasons, you'll be surprised at how much you'll move the needle by way of getting your husband to be more like the man that you want him to be. Now, you can either hear the truth in that and put that into practice and see the fruits, or you can stand on your pride and you'll go down on the ship of that pride, and your marriage will too. Because there's one thing I can promise you. I promise you this. If you are not sleeping with your husband, your marriage is going to greatly, greatly suffer, if not inevitably dissolve. Thank you for listening.